Let me see. Are we live? Are we? Yes. Yep. Okay, I'll
What?
give it
We're doing a show? And I actually
again.
made it back to the office in time to not start the stream like
No, no, no.
walking
I thought
across
we
my
were.
block.
You're not going to hoof it again and try to test out US Mobile and all of their beautiful network. Hashtag not sponsored by US Mobile. I didn't want to make it sound like
But yeah,
we
they came in clutch when I forgot when our show started. So that was good.
I, dude, seriously, honestly, I was sitting at my desk. I was like waiting. I'm like, okay, this is usually me. You're usually the one hitting me up. Like, are we doing this? Are we going? Like, and
Hey,
then
bro.
yeah,
Hey, bro. Well, but thank you everybody for jumping in, for tuning in. I think we've had a pretty good week so far, and wrapping it up with my buddy TK here to talk
absolutely.
about the best of our week.
Week.
And I feel like the best conversations of our week are on some topics that also might be a little frustrating
Little
to
bit,
dig into.
little
But
bit.
but again, it's we want to kind of sort out our feels on these topics in a group of like-minded tech enthusiasts, even though so
Absolutely.
many other people are trying to make that sound like tech enthusiast is some kind of pejorative.
It depends on who you talk to, but yeah, it makes it sound like we're such a small little niche group that nobody ever talks about. But suddenly, you are you're the focus of something. So we need to talk to you. We need to talk to you as if you're that group that just almost doesn't exist unless we need you. But yeah. I appreciate having all of our friends, all of our everybody hanging out with us. Dave Burns. I refuse to be thanked. I'm like, okay, like I get it.
Okay,
It's
I
cool,
I
dude.
rescind my appreciation of your contribution, but only for David.
Yes,
Everyone
exactly.
else, thank you so much for joining. I think this is going to be a fun show. We've got some nerdy gear to talk about, and we've got some major problems to
Problems
talk
to
about.
talk
So I think
about.
I think
Yeah.
this is going to be a good combo show.
We should rename the show to the Talks Amongst Yourselves.
I'll supply the topic.
Of this
Holy
topic.
Roman Empire was neither Roman nor holy nor an
Or an
empire.
empire.
Discuss.
Yes. Oh man, enthusiastic. I love it. Michael Peppertech is in the chat. Santiago is in the chat as well. David Burns, El Jefe, of course. Hope you're doing well, man. I saw your tweet about the little rumble up there. Um, I don't know. Bay Area is. I mean, this was actually, if I'm not mistaken, the last. There was another one a couple of weeks or so ago, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken. I think, yeah. So best of luck, man. Hopefully things kind of calm down. Yeah,
Yeah,
California. Yeah.
when the earth starts shaking like that, it gets real weird.
Yep. Yeah, and the temperatures that we've been having, which is we're back to another nice warm. Uh, I don't know if I should have said the word nice. It was.
No, I was gonna say, aren't we
It's
gonna
not
get
hot.
nuked like next week? Like another
Yeah,
heat wave
pretty
is rolling
much
in.
through Tuesday, from what I see, is we're going to be basically 105 and above.
But
So yeah, that's how we're doing it. But this week has been interesting. We've had a couple of things going on. I'm sure you guys saw the topic. Obviously, Juan has some super exciting, exclusive, future-looking glasses. How the heck did you do that, man? That's all I have to say. All I know is
begging.
we were talking like a week and a half ago.
I mean, just the least amount of dignity that a man can have between him and
The
PR
PR contact.
representative, and with every single interaction that I've had with TCL PR going also, and WTF the glasses. I need
Yeah,
the glasses.
yeah. Oh
So
man.
they were kind enough to send over a pair. I'm going to get to test. This is still this is not consumer facing just yet. What they've sent me is another production model.
Good.
And so this I what I'll be able to talk about won't culminate in a review, because what I'm not using something that consumers can buy. And when
It,
consumers can buy it, I imagine there will be some subtle differences over the hardware that I have. But the overall experience, like literally the first 10 minutes I had the box, it was like, I got to plug this into my laptop. I've got to plug this into a phone. I got to plug this into a desktop mode. And it's it's kind of a trip. It really
I,
is.
so I haven't tested the production model that you have. Obviously, the one I tested was a couple of years earlier,
Yeah.
and it was like an early generation version of it. It's similar to I
I
love
mean, what
it.
I should do is start streaming the show on another phone. Hold on, let me see if I think I've got my Galaxy over here. My V60 is too far to use Screen Plus, but I can fire this up, and then I can stream the show, and I can watch us while I wear this.
So
And
you'll
I
be
don't
like
really
that the
care
whole
what I
show.
look like.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I could just. So we'll keep Juan. We'll keep Juan looking like he's trying to copy El Jefe's look at
oh
this
yeah,
point.
this is good.
Ranesh, Sam is in the chat, of course. El Jefe is like TCL PR folks are cool AF, man. Always, absolutely. They're some of the best peoples out there. I have to say seriously, it's one of the things I miss the most about going to big events and so on. Like CES has always been for me like hitting up the TCL guys, and not just on
Mhm.
the mobile hardware, but on the audio department, because there are separate departments that they run, which typically ends up being also around their TV service as in the sound bars and so on. So while Juan is setting himself up in the next generation, Juan
No, I'm
2.0.
serious. This is like super weird watching a delay of our show. Like
Oh, that's right. There is yeah. You're
this
watching the
right
live show.
here.
So yeah,
Like because I'm pulling it up
you
through the
should.
stream. Um,
That
I
is
don't want to tax my data connection too hard.
jump on US Mobile, man. I think they're gonna do well. They'll do
I don't
great.
have a SIM card in this phone though. It's
Ah,
one of the
okay.
ones that works the best for. But no, it is crazy. It is a trip to
Absolutely.
see what would normally be
A
like
display
a giant display
in front of you. Yeah. And
yeah, just like right in front of you.
how do I look at
Um,
that physical size though? Does the
well,
beard look as epic or does
no,
it look less?
so what
Because we can do
this
something.
has are these two micro 1080p displays.
Yep.
And I've gotten a lot of questions already. Even I got one on Instagram. How does this compare to something like Daydream? And it's fundamentally different because these little displays are built to kind of create a more fleshed out 1080p. Oops, as I bump my mic, a
Yep.
more fleshed out 1080p look. It's not putting magnification on a 1080p screen, so you don't see that like screen door effect. You don't see that what do you call that, pen tile
Mm-hmm.
subpixel arrangement. So this is so much clearer and so much sharper than any of those like kind of older or like Google Cardboard kind of experiments, like putting a phone screen up in front of your
Or
face.
it blocks everything around. Yep.
Yeah, this is so much. This immediately reminded me of those old Sony cinema displays. Only
Okay.
I can still see everything here and under.
Okay. And the
So
brightness level is it are you able to is it clear enough that even though because like right now you're
it's good.
in a well lit room, so
No,
obviously
it's good. So like right now, I can just like if I stretch my eyes way out to the corners, I can just make out the pattern of my shirt. So there is that kind of reflection off of the
oh
glass
yeah,
that's
yeah.
inside the
Like regular
glasses,
glasses. Yeah, you expect
like
that.
regular glasses.
Sometimes you see a little bit of reflection on the back. Yeah.
So I believe if I were to take these outside in really bright conditions, they would not be as nice to use as an enclosed VR solution. But
Mhm.
I think it would be easier to see this display than if I were trying to use a laptop in similar lighting conditions.
They're
So like if I
closer. You also have the ability of you have more control. Like if you're wearing a hat, you can also limit the amount of sun that's going into it. It's a little bit more personal.
you can
Uh,
and they're more discreet, like you've got a big laptop screen out and you're trying to like shade it or something like that. This is already
I
kind of
I was gonna
somewhat
say,
enclosed, but because things are open right here,
hmm
any light that you would have kind of washing
hmm
is still gonna impact the display. But that's by comparison. If you're comparing it against a VR headset, well, yeah, it's gonna fail because a VR headset's completely enclosed.
Oh,
But if you compare it
absolutely.
against a laptop screen, this is way better. So
Well,
it's kind of an interesting halfway point between
yeah,
these. I can
I
take
can
these off so
imagine
I can
this.
actually like look at the.
You could be back. So I was gonna say we had a few nice comments. So Max Headroom from 2021. Juan's entering the Matrix. Our your buddies are having fun with you. Yeah. Oh, okay. I can
Oh
see
yeah.
it.
And the best thing is it's kind of like headphones. I don't know if Jeff would vibe with me on this, but I kind of just don't care what headphones look like because I can't see myself wearing them. So you have to deal with me looking like I came out of the Matrix, but I'm looking at decks. So I'm good.
That was the other question here. Legitimate. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
So basically, tell me you
sorry.
started.
You're gonna have to deal with me sucking down lozenges. I blew my throat out on Tuesday during the podcast, so I'm gonna try and not sound super gross. But yeah, so you just plug in your USB cable. Here's my little S10e,
Samsung
and
Dex
I don't
supporting
think
SD.
I won't be able to show you, but it also works with Screen Plus. Oh, I've got my Velvet over here. I could probably do that too. I can't get the line on my camera here.
I can
But
kind of see it a
yeah,
little
you can
bit.
see
Yeah.
that the displays turn on.
Yeah, I can see a little bit of a blue tint somewhere that some type of display is on.
And then there's like a little sensor. Oh, that's part of it too. So there's like a little sensor that
it recognizes that
there
it's
it was.
on.
So it's lit up.
I don't see my.
Empowered.
No, hold on,
It's lit up and powered by the phone. And
good.
if you've got USB 3. So what's funny is that this won't work with most of TCL's phones because you do need proper USB 3 and display output.
Yeah,
So
which I think the Pro 2,
output.
yeah, the 20 Pro, not the Pro 2, the 20 Pro, I think is the first to be supported. Wonder if the 10 Pro would probably be supporting it as well, but I'm not sure.
I don't think the 10 Pro had
USB 3.0?
USB 3, the full support for USB 3. But
Okay.
yeah, I could.
That was 2.1
You can throw this on a Velvet.
Yeah.
And
No.
do Screen Plus. Yeah, I am ridiculously excited for this, and I'm gonna have it for just a little bit of family visiting time too. So I might try, instead of taking a next dock, I might try to do a little traveling with just this headset and my little Microsoft Bluetooth keyboard and mouse.
I would be interested to see if how, I mean, so to me when I think of this, I mean, obviously there's the media consumption. Obviously, the first thing that hits you, using it, watching movies, watching content, being in the live stream, geeking out, and all of that. Obviously, that glorious display. But for me, it truly is like using like a portable monitor, and just on a plane, and you're sitting in tight spaces where you can't even unfold the dang laptop anymore. Plug those in.
All I would have is like that, like you've used my little Microsoft Bluetooth keyboard.
Yeah. No,
it's
absolutely.
just a little bit bigger than a Surface Duo.
Exactly, and
folds out. And the thing I like about it is like it looks so nerdy, but if I were to be wearing this at a cafe, I'd still be able to see a lot of what's happening around me. You don't feel completely
encapsulated. Yeah, no,
it's not immersive. It's really not. It is like, right now I'm looking at a monitor and I can see off of my peripheral vision what's happening in the side of my room. It's not tremendously different than that, only with the headset on, I can't see my ceiling.
So when the displays are off, is there any pass-through capabilities?
What do you mean?
Like if you see, like, is it truly encased inside, like behind the display? If the screens are off, there's nothing you could see, right? It's all darkness. So they're not going to ever have there's no, like, remember how Cardboard used to have, or even Samsung used to have it with their VR, the Gear VR. They used to have a pass-through mode where they enabled the camera on the outside, but since this is not a smartphone, I'm just wondering.
It doesn't have anything like that. You're not going to be able to see forward. And like I said, like for where my hands were, I think it was kind of around here. So obviously, like, I'm not going to wear this and operate a motor vehicle or something like that. It's not AR. It's not VR. Like I said, the closest thing that you would compare this to are those old Sony cinema displays.
Yeah.
But so much more travelable.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
Small enough.
You don't
and
have
you don't even
that huge visor thing that bolts to
there's
your
no
face.
power. There's no batteries, right? It powers the entire thing through the USB-C.
And like they don't even have HDMI inputs or anything. It is just if your laptop, your desktop, or your phone supports USB-C for the display, then they'll work. And if not, then they're a paperweight.
Well, they're definitely something that you have in your travel bag. I think that they fit, and they're intended to be used in more of a resting position. So you're sitting down. Obviously, it's not going to be something where you're going to stand up and start, watching and
Yeah.
interacting. And there's no tracking, there's no movement, there's not going to be any joysticks to
And
this.
I don't know that I would love them. So far, I mean, like again, I got them this afternoon, so my experience here is pretty limited, and I'm
I
not
thought you were going
looking
to publish
to.
a review, man. What the heck, man?
Yeah, I
What's up?
know. I mean, tens of minutes. I should have my full, conclusive, in-depth review on them already
You're
done.
you're slacking,
Um,
bro.
I
I
just
want to
can't do
say,
pretty B-roll that fast.
ah,
Um,
I
the
understand.
uh,
Yes,
the
B-roll is
the
important.
the way that these are built, and I don't know if this will be any different for like the actual retail production model. I'm sure this is pretty well finished.
Hmm.
But I don't know what kind of tweaks. The way these are built, I don't know that this is something you'd want to sweat profusely on. So for like fitness or workouts, like say you were just, walking on a
Oh,
treadmill or something
absolutely.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I
Exactly. As opposed to
don't
having
think
your phone
that's
20 feet
the
away.
fit. Yeah, I don't think that's the gig. But immediately putting Netflix in a window and pulling up Microsoft Word to write a script and having that canvas in front of you like you were sitting in front of a pretty big monitor
Yeah, or watching. Yeah, working on your TV, and you're
worked
projecting to the monitor.
worked really good. Worked really well. And they do have some little speaker pass through.
Okay,
So
so there's sound.
I don't know how much I'll rely on that, but they do kind of float audio just over your ears.
Hmm.
So it doesn't sound like earbuds. It does sound like kind of speakers in air, but the illusion doesn't work. Like if you have a sound bar under your TV and you've got that fixed point of where that audio is coming from,
Hmm.
um, the illusion doesn't quite land. But again, it's like a good halfway point. If you absolutely needed the audio to be more attached to the display you're
Video.
looking at, it kind of works. But I'd still probably just throw on some Bluetooth earbuds
I think the
and
S600s
and
would
get
would
something
work perfectly.
more discreet. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Some nice TCL buds to support sweat profusely on. I see you say words like that, and then you have Aditya jump in the conversation. That's always it's
I mean,
always
but the thing is, he's given me some good ideas for like paywall content.
absolutely.
I mean, if there's
Well,
anyone who's into that, I mean, like,
I
I don't mind monetizing it.
I'm gonna say that definitely he'll be one of the managers. He'll be one of the admins. He'll make sure all everybody's in the chat correctly. So those are some of the things I think. One of the things that I was really excited about when I first tried them on was the ability of just like I said, just having them accessing them, wherever you are. I think TCL bringing them and hopefully making it more. I guess we still don't know necessarily when it's going to be available in the US, but I know they announced it at MWC. So it's more of
Yeah.
the tech is there. They're ready to bring it to consumers, and
Well,
we're really excited.
this definitely feels again. I'm using like using this, and it was very aggressively explained to me that this is not retail product that they're sending me. Even using it in the state that it's in right now, this feels phenomenally well polished. So
Mhm.
it's a product that I'm sure TCL doesn't have huge designs on these exploding. Like no, that's the wrong word. I don't mean like literally. I mean like blowing up in terms of consumer popularity. Like this
I
isn't a product that I think they're going to be making so many of that they expect it to start becoming like a true part of their lineup that starts eating into TV sales. That's
oh I
that's
yeah
not what I think they think this is going to be at all.
I don't think that's what they're building it as. This is an accessory. Well, I take that back. This is a so it's hard to tell. So keep in mind, TCL is known for their displays, right? They're known for their TVs. I mean, their smartphone line of devices is all around gorgeous displays with different configurations that to support them, right? You have the entry, the midpoint, mid range, and the flagship side. But at the end, when you're looking at it, this is another accessory to be able to enjoy content on a TCL display. It just happens to be a portable one. Um, you know, I think at launch, from what I understand, like, they said that it was going to be supporting the 20 Pro, but I think as you saw there, that it will more than likely potentially support other devices that should be able
Oh,
to support. Because
let's not even say more than likely. I love that TCL strategy on this is actually
Mm,
to get ahead of their phones.
yeah,
One of their major product lines are displays.
yeah,
Folding displays, bendy displays, traditional TVs.
I'm waiting for that
That is
rollable display. I want that
that is
scroll, man. I
one of
want
their
Indiana Jones
primary
level
bread and
display.
butter reputation building segments for consumer electronics.
Hmm.
So if you're gonna do something like this, um, I think it's actually a bolder move to put it out there, knowing that like the majority of people that would take advantage of a luxury portable headset display like this
Hmm.
probably don't own TCL phones, but this product is already going to work with a
They own a
huge
TV, by the way.
swath
Yeah,
of
they may not have a
phones
TCL
that
phone,
people
but
already have.
exactly. And what I'm saying is essentially is, even if they may not yet know that TCL makes phones, or they may have an Alcatel or something like that, they more than likely know somebody that has a TCL TV, like a Roku TV, something that references
Yeah.
into what they're known. They're very big in that market, and I think that's their biggest strength. Which I feel like and I'm loving the fact that they don't try to cop out of it. They're literally owning it. This is like, we are the display. We are going to give you a very good experience consuming media, be it on the large
Oh,
screen,
sure.
the smartphone, and now portable, which I feel like is
But
is the right
but the
midpoint.
yeah, I agree. The point that I'm trying to make though is I feel like the death of Daydream came from way too limited
Hmm.
a number of launch devices. Like getting remember like Daydream launched and it was like, well, okay, we can play it on this one phone.
It was one
Oh,
Pixel. I think it was the Pixel. Yeah, the first initial Pixel.
and then like a couple months after that, now we can also use it on an Axon. Cool. But it
It,
took so long to build any type. We didn't really build any momentum. That's why it died.
no, there
And
was a
same thing
big.
like with LG Friends. If you
Oh
remember, the
man,
G5 had
I was
that
there.
VR headset,
I,
but
I
you
I
made it a
had
proprietary accessory
that's
to that
very
one phone. This is not a proprietary accessory. I've already
no
used it on an LG, a Samsung, a TCL,
PC.
and on a laptop,
Yeah, yeah.
and it just shows up as a screen. So it just becomes as versatile
It's
as
an
one of my
external display.
portable
Yeah,
monitors. Like
I
my
like that.
Y Maxit is now probably not gonna make it into my laptop bag. If I can pack something like this instead and not have to worry about a 15-inch slab of glass to use as an alternative display.
Uh, so one thing I'm probably wondering, and I think somebody asked that question earlier, is have you been able to notice any information about the power draw? Like how is it like a percent per minute kind of thing? Have you noticed any dramatic use when you're
Not yet.
using it?
No,
Okay.
I'm sure it's drawing power. I
Oh yeah,
have to believe it's less than
the
like
display.
my lapel or my WiMAX at portable
Okay.
screens, because these are micro displays,
No,
but it is
yeah,
two 1080p micro displays.
but it is
It,
too. Yeah.
it definitely will have an effect on battery life. That I haven't measured how far yet, so I need to see. Um,
I
and
say
again,
put it through a, Star Wars trilogy. Go with like the series. Just do the first
I was
three, and
thinking
then
Godzilla.
oh, you're gonna
Like I
okay.
said,
I get
I got Shin Godzilla on Blu-ray, and
yeah,
I've
yeah, yeah.
watched it more times than I should have for having just gotten it like 2 weeks ago. But
I
no,
love it.
it's really what I need to do is kind of measure it out, because when you use, like, say you're using it with Dex,
Mhm.
this is kind of a brilliant use case scenario for a desktop mode, because
It's
whatever
true.
power draw the phone is sending to the headset, it's not sending to your phone screen.
Well, take that back. Keep in mind, Dex typically doesn't turn off the display. So if you're using Dex on, let's say, the
Yeah, but
S10e,
Screen
your
Plus does.
screen, yes, but what I meant was mostly with the Dex experience. Dex requires you to have your display on, because if you lock your phone, I think, if I forget, if you let the
Let's
phone's
see.
display go to sleep, then it's fine. But if you lock the phone, it locks Dex. And you have to unlock your phone to be able to access Dex back in. And then the other thing that you'd also need to keep in mind is with Dex, you lose your. Well, I mean, if you're using the touchpad on the phone, then you lose the touchpad if you turn off the
No,
display.
but my chief use case for this would be like watching a movie while writing a script.
Ah, writing.
And I'm
Yeah.
not going to do that on a touchscreen. I'm going to bring my Bluetooth keyboard. And if I already have to have a keyboard out, might as well bring my mouse and everything I can do to. I've got to put these on so I can kind of see.
Yeah.
They do have a little sensor so that the screens will turn off when they detect that your face isn't in them. But if
when you're not in the matrix, the matrix recognizes that you're not in the matrix. Is that what you're saying?
So I can turn off the phone screen.
And Dex is still running?
Yeah, Dex is still on. I
Oh.
was pretty sure that was still a. I mean, again, I felt like
maybe I'm
Screen
remembering it
Plus
from an earlier.
copied that from Dex. I felt like LG ripped that off of Samsung.
They didn't.
or
they
maybe
didn't.
Huawei, maybe Honor did it first. I can't remember, but yeah. So this is still powered. It's still on my phone screen.
Honor
is off.
Honor does allow you to, if the phone goes to sleep by itself, it doesn't disable EMUI desktop, but or at least
so
Huawei does. But yeah.
So what I need to do is try and come up with. So this is going to take so long. What I need to do is come up with doing one task from the phone screen, doing the same task using the phone screen as like a trackpad and as a keyboard, and then doing the same task with the phone screen completely off. And I wonder, my hypothesis would be the power draw would balance. The two little tiny displays pulling maybe a little bit more juice just because of the enclosure and the brightness that you need to crank them at, but negligible if you're operating your phone with the screen off.
No, it makes perfect sense. One thing to ask, do you think that this would be something that people that wear glasses can use?
No.
Because
no, because it's all. I mean, you saw when I pulled them off that I had like the little pressure pads on my nose. There's no additional clearance. So if you need any type of vision correction, glasses are out. You've got to wear.
But it doesn't have any kind of correction like the way we had with the Gear VR or with the Quest or so.
Oh no, I mean I can show you. It's got nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
The only thing up top is now a sweat mark from my forehead grease and that little sensor
proximity.
Right
yeah,
so
I think
Marie has already tried them out, and she thought they were really cool too. But the first thing she said is like, "Oh, I can only use these with my contacts in."
And the thing is, for me, I don't wear contacts, so it's but the good thing is, I have to say though, it's definitely very. When I tested them, I didn't. It wasn't as hard to try to see because I think what they showed me back then was a video. They were running a video on one of their devices that it was just literally like a loop. So the video seemed like it was running fine. I think it was a demo video for the glasses. But if you remember the year where they had that clamshell foldable display at CES, that was the same year I got a chance to try them out.
Right on.
So I tried them out in their little desk demo area before they went to the show floor. I got a chance to have some hands-on with that foldable phone that apparently everybody and their mom got a chance to check out. But after I think somebody bent it so much, they had to put it behind the glass. Nobody could touch it anymore. So that was fun.
But yeah, I'm gonna be taking these for an extended test drive.
Not while you drive, right?
Not while. Well, so
Just
here's
kidding.
it. If we really road trip like we think we might, my wife and I are both like, we don't need to be in an office. Lex is out of school. Like if we just get in the car one day
and just start going,
we could just go. So I kind of want to test it under that idea. Like
Zoom calls for the win, man. That's all. I mean, right? if you don't need to be on camera, this is going to be the one to get in. You just jump in and do your thing.
The very first photo I took of it, I had it next to my OnePlus, so I plugged it into my OnePlus. And all it's doing is screen mirroring because the Android desktop mode is useless.
Oh yeah. So you could frame yourself. Okay.
So taking a photo from the rear selfie, and it was because I could just look right through it. I mean, like I might need to shoot a video that way because like my framing was awesome.
Awesome. It was on point.
It
I
was
was gonna say,
perfect.
yeah, because if you can't see it, like Steve DeRoche is saying is like Star Trek, beam me up, Juan. Take me, we're going to the next level. I love that. Um, so
Well,
obviously this was something that was announced. I think, you know, we're going to see more content from you, obviously, hopefully very soon.
yeah,
Just
definitely.
be safe, stay safe, and don't drive with these guys.
No, no. I
I
mean,
don't care if the OnePlus
the
9 is
the end
pointed
of
the other
that
way.
joke that I was gonna make is like, while my wife is taking a shift, I'll have an incredible like
Uh,
display to watch movies and to do my writing on.
by the
So,
time, yeah, by the time your shift is back up, you're like, dude, I feel so relaxed right now.
right?
I watched Shin Godzilla. I'm good. I'm ready for another 4 hours, hon.
So
Let's
what
go.
I need to do though is, because I get pretty bad motion sickness. Will watching a movie with these on while in a car
Oh, that's
trigger
gonna
my
get
motion sickness?
fingers crossed.
It's a
Fingers
potentially
crossed.
super gross experiment. Let's do it. Go.
Yes, nothing. I'm hoping nothing that Dramamine won't fix. Let's just say that. I would start off with Dramamine, get in the car, and yeah, no, I think it'll be good. So that was one of the bigger things. I think I saw it this morning. I was really excited to, well, not this morning, like later in the afternoon. I saw when you
Yeah.
posted it, uh, and I was very excited for you. So I'm definitely very happy, very jealous. But you know, um, I can't do anything about that part. Yeah, that's just
I,
how it is.
I have to believe that if they're going to be tapping some other reviewers out here, after I send them back,
The
I'll
way
make
we
the
do it
plug.
usually, we do the whole round because
Hey,
I just sent my Xperia back to Sony. So
like if I mean, you know, I could send these back, or I could just drive over and drop them off at TK's place and save you a FedEx label.
we'll have to work out some stuff, and I'd love to get the details of your experience using them. I'm actually very jealous, but realistically, I'm also very happy that you get a chance to check them out because it's something that it is so different and refreshing. That's the weird part about it. It's just
Yeah.
it's almost like when you get something that is just not a glowing rectangle. Not that I want to plug your subreddit or anything. But you know, it is truly it's nice to see something like that, and it seriously looks pretty well polished. I mean, you
It
could have fooled me by
it is.
saying that this was the production style. I mean, it looks that good.
I mean, and it also came in like a cute little case, just what they kind of packaged it all together.
Oh,
The thing I like about stuff like this is it seems kind of out there,
uh-huh.
but like it's so easy to get. You know, like I didn't have to explain anything to my wife. I asked her to like come over here to the dining room table, and I put them on her face, and they were plugged into my laptop at the time. And she was like, "Oh, yeah, this is kind of cool." I mean, like I didn't have to say a word. You know, I like that this is in a world of like VR headsets and AR, you know, features in our phones. Something like this is actually almost old school cool, and is super easy to grok. I mean, the only questions that you kind of have to feel like, oh, can I play like VR games on this? And you're like, well, no, there's no head tracking.
Yeah.
And then they're done. You're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that's really neat. And you don't have to sit there and try and you know, like guide them through what the tech might really be.
It just seems natural. Like, you know, it's like a big display on glasses that you're wearing on your face. That's the best way to describe it. Question: did you get a chance to see how the refresh rate is? Did they mention the refresh rate on this? Is it 60? Is it, or is it 30? Do you?
I think it's 60.
Okay.
I don't know. What I need to do, and what I'm planning on doing a little tomorrow, just for some of my own in-house testing.
Mhm.
I'm probably not going to be doing any serious battery testing just because it takes way too long, and I've got other things to do this week.
Mhm.
But what I might be able to do is play around in Windows, and Windows should report back what the specs are for the attached display. But I think it's 1080p 60.
Yeah, no. I think you mentioned the 1080p. I was just wondering because it's either 30 or 60. So I think 60 would be nice, especially for, as I think Michael was mentioning, he'd love to be able to do some racing games. So maybe some you know, Asphalt 9 in there. But
Yeah, for sure.
I was thinking more of like, you know, if you want to play Undead Horde, or if you're trying to play any kind of game that needs at least a 60 FPS to kind of be decent, as opposed to
Oh yeah.
you know
You know what?
things.
That's actually a pretty good test. And
Yeah,
also, you know, for all the phones that are struggling to
the
maintain 60 FPS in
I
Undead
know.
Horror.
I know it's such a beautiful transition, is it? Isn't it kind of like a little
Right?
bit
That's a great
uh,
segue. I loved it.
great segue? So one of the other things that has been going on, I think a lot of people have been, I think Altec, Altet Tech, sorry, kind of tagged us both on the conversation that's been going on with, I guess
Mhm.
OnePlus, right? What's going on with OnePlus is, especially the 9 and the 9 Pro. There was a big news posted in on some of the companies, sorry, the news reporting agencies, I guess the best way to say it, sites, that they were delisted from major benchmarking applications. So yes, you're holding the OnePlus 9 Pro, and if I don't drop everything on
Reach.
the floor, well, I need to do it, but I keep forgetting I have headsets on now. We got the
Mhm.
OnePlus 9 Pro, so we cover both, the aspects in there. But and as I'm talking, I'm actually. It just feels weird talking without headphones. By the way,
Right?
and I can't hear you, but I just don't. Um, so the
It's like
conversation
feeling
essentially,
naked.
yeah, it feels weird. Like it's too quiet for the sake of being quiet. But with this heat, I cannot wear the DT770s in this room without turning on like mass amount of fans, and I don't want to
Yeah,
blow you guys.
it gets humid.
Exactly. Um, so the conversation is essentially that they got removed, and the statement that we got from OnePlus is during their optimizations, during their normal course of optimizing the system and improvements into the experience on OnePlus devices, that they typically tend to tailor their systems for specific applications, and then some areas, basically they're helping to optimize the battery to preserve battery life. That's their primary references. They wanted to preserve battery life, so they optimize certain apps to run in a specific way. We've talked about them, I think, in the past, yourself as well on social media, where we talked about or was mentioning is the throttling that we've had with games. How the gaming
Yeah.
experience on a OnePlus 9 is it's slightly more controlled, tailored, uh, and so the question is that kind of came in. I think a lot of people are concerned about this. Is obviously, what are you doing? What's going on? Why are you getting delisted? These things you don't want to hear about your favorite devices. You don't want to hear about conversations like that. And at least from the way I'm looking at it right now, is this. I mean, Oxygen OS as an operating system is an evolving experience. We've seen OnePlus. So I'll say this back in the days. The big news that we always heard about was the fact that OnePlus would maybe fudging the numbers when it came down to benchmarks. Like they're pushing performance up all the way to get a really good benchmark numbers, but it wasn't really reflecting reality. I think OnePlus UI elements and everything running on them right now, the way the 9 and the 9 Pro operate, they run absolutely fine. I did not notice, at least in my usage, where I've noticed this massive degradation of performance because a couple of applications were optimized to run and maybe save battery. So I don't know why. I guess I'm not as upset. Maybe that's the best way to say it. I'm not surprised, but I'm also
Yeah.
not necessarily, I mean, this is something that I would imagine OnePlus would be doing,
Well, here's
optimizing.
yeah, you're I'm feeling what you're I'm picking up what you're putting down there, TK.
Mhm.
I'm feeling you. Here's the issue. First of all, I do want to credit the phenomenal work done by Anantech.
Yeah.
Because if you want the real technical breakdown, skip over all of the outlets that are just putting out the crazy skies
Repeat.
falling headline
Yeah,
and
yeah.
oversimplifying their analysis because they don't come to definitive conclusions because they don't have the data.
Mhm.
And if you're really a tech enthusiast, you should care about the proper, the proper prediction or the proper hypothesis that is being tested by the data that they're collecting. So I have to throw a huge shout out to the guys at Anantech because this is a very complicated problem. And I do think it's a problem. I think it's
Mhm.
always going to be a problem when a company does not deliver proper disclosure to their consumers with what's happening on their pocket computer.
Mhm.
And to your point, TK, I think what's most frustrating about this, what OnePlus has done is the opposite of benchmark rigging. Traditionally, benchmark rigging is where you tuck away a secret high performance mode that only shows up when you run a benchmark.
The moment it recognizes it boosts it, it
And
overperforms.
and the consumer does not have access to that tier of power in any other application.
Hmm.
OnePlus is doing the opposite. The Snapdragon 888 already runs and games benchmarks really well. It is very good at spiking to a crazy high level of performance for very brief periods of time. So the way that Geekbench conducts their tests to create an aggregate score, Qualcomm is already kind of gaming how Geekbench creates their benchmark system.
And we see that with, and at least so far with the amount of devices that I've had my hands on with that run the 888, it's
Mhm.
crazy that they all perform almost the exact same way. There's
Well, not anymore though. Have
no
you
no
gone
I
through your Xiaomi's? Because Xiaomi's
so I
after
haven't run Xiaomi's,
12.5.
but I no. So for me, so lately I've been knee deep in the the
Oh,
Realme.
right.
Yeah. So I haven't been
Okay,
playing
so
with
my
Xiaomi as
Mi
much.
11i took over a 10% hit
Oh,
when 12.5 came out. But anyway,
okay.
sorry to
Yeah.
wrap up what's going on here with OnePlus. Um, so what OnePlus is doing is certain applications get to tap all that power, but
Mhm.
they've created a blacklist of applications that get shuffled off to lower performance cores. So you've got, if you have an 888, you've got 8 cores. You've got
Yeah.
one
Prime.
big
Yeah. The big core.
X1 performance core. You've got 3 high performance cores, and you've got 4 low performance cores. And a lot of these apps aren't even going to the middle performance cores.
They're
They're
running
getting
them.
kicked all the way down to the low power cores. I'm so frustrated with OnePlus because I want that as a feature I can control. I don't want that as a secret blacklist that I have no control over. Because if you gave me the same kind of game mode,
Hmm.
but I could tell the phone, hey, when I play Dead Cells, crank the GPU, give me the full refresh rate of the screen, and kick up the performance because I want 120 hertz on Dead Cells. When I open up Twitter, I degaff. Like, I could not care less if I were on my lowest power cores, so save me the battery. I'm so mad because this is a feature I've wanted, but I just want control over it. And again, I feel like if OnePlus had been upfront with how they were doing this power conditioning,
Hmm.
not only would there not have been a backlash, I think a lot of people would have appreciated this feature in much the same way that Samsung has enhanced mode on the S21. I get salty about that because I don't think they do a very good job of telling consumers it's there. Out
They
of the
don't.
box,
Yeah.
your S21 performs like an S10.
I at best just to save you. I mean, if you don't know, you're
And it's
right.
not
If you
even
don't
that
know,
much battery.
no. It's not even that. It's a 1080p 60 resolution experience that is set out of the box. They've been doing that for years with their QHD displays, which always drove me crazy. Um, but it is something. You're right. It is something that you feel like if you had access to this, if you had access to this type of scheduler, to be able to allow you to manage what part of what performance level these applications can run, which is similar to what we typically see with gaming modes on devices, like the Realme GT, their game
Yeah.
enhancer app, 3 profiles: power management, standard, and
And same thing with
performance mode.
Sony.
And Sony has the exact same thing.
And
Those are things that
Sony lets you do all the screen customizing in there if you want to
ex-
do like
the
240
response,
hertz. Like,
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
it's silly. It is so silly because again, OnePlus is one of those companies where they got caught for benchmark rigging. I believe it was 5T or 6. It was sometime in
It was a
there.
couple of generations, one for 2 generations of phones. There was
But
a
this is the company that just nerds flip out if there's any potential controversy.
it's their
So
baby.
like so when the OnePlus 5, I think it was the OnePlus 5 came out,
The
they
Jello
had that
effect.
controversy with the telephoto camera.
There was
And
but there was also the Jello effect in the UI
no, no,
on it.
no,
There
no.
was
Like hold
yeah.
on 1 second because Jello effect, that's a thing, but I'm getting to another point here. They had a telephoto camera that was really effectively like 1.6x telephoto from the main sensor,
Oh
and then
yeah,
they
yeah,
would
yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah.
crop and like they would sort of upscale so
And
that you
I
could
think it
get
was
to a proper 2x zoom, but it
yeah.
was software. So they got tagged for that. Well, for the OnePlus 7 Pro, they gave us a real optical 3x zoom, but they used a
The zoom.
12 megapixel sensor and cropped down to an 8 megapixel image. But it really is an optical effect for that 3x zoom. And of course, all of the gadget blogs went crazy. Oh, see, look, OnePlus is lying about their cameras again. You're like, no, that's different. And so now, because they got caught once benchmark rigging, this whole affair with Geekbench, with them getting delisted from Geekbench stats, is only reinforcing OnePlus cheats at benchmarks. And they absolutely aren't, but they're doing something that is frustrating for some consumers. And for me, I'm always going to say it's a huge no-no to mess with the performance of the phone and not explain to your consumers, or not explain to your customers what's going on with your phone. But it's not cheating a benchmark.
No, it isn't. But this is partially where I always get frustrated whenever we get an update, and the only description we get with the update, the changelog, is minor fixes and minor bug fixes and system improvement, which you have no idea what that means. And it seems like it's a little bit more than. And OnePlus 9 and 9 Pro have received quite a bit of updates since launch, so it's not
But
something that
somewhere in one of those updates was performance optimization.
and it meant tailored experience on a per app basis based on a selection of theirs, which we had no control over.
Yeah. So this is a real bad look for OnePlus, and I don't want to try and diminish that how I feel this is kind of scummy. Because I hate how Samsung has done this, which means I like this less than how I like how Samsung has done this. But it is a different conversation than OnePlus is cheating. And that nuance is critical. And that's also why I want to point people, don't read the stupid editorializing, go straight to an Antec to see their data, because they actually show their work. All of these other outlets commenting on this, none of them performance test. I mean, TK and I are two of the only North American reviewers that actually try. And it's not easy to do this consistently. And you have a whole team of editors at Anantech that's their whole job. That's all they do. They don't have to really review much else on the phone because that's their gig. So it's infuriating to me where people that never judged Apple on their performance for things like battery throttling, many of them didn't even notice that the S20 and S21s had these enhanced modes that critically throttled performance, are now up in arms that OnePlus is destroying the performance of your most popular apps. And you don't even know what that means, because you can't even show me how you would test the performance of those apps. Like you can't even demonstrate how performance is affected by different power conditioning modes. So I'm not impressed with your editorial on this topic.
There's always going to be it's a catchy tagline that I think everybody just gets on repeat. It becomes a repeat kind of a situation. But at the end of the day, it's obviously, so OnePlus did kind of make a statement. They finally did make a statement about it. I think it seems like this is the direction that they're trying to go, optimizing, scheduling different experiences. And my only goal, or at least I would say, like you said, it's maybe allow us to have more control on the user side. I mean, it's there's nothing wrong with having a default profile. Like, let's say, give us the ability of configuring like
I just want it built into the battery settings, just like on Sony and Samsung.
Exactly.
I mean, they already have the perfect model for it. And OnePlus isn't responsible for this SoC.
No,
this is every manufacturer has done something.
They try
to alter the performance profile of the 888. But if OnePlus needed to learn this lesson the hard way, what I hope they'll learn is give us the toggle. You already have a game mode. Now give us better low power management modes. Give us something like HS power control. Give us better or more granular battery charging windows or power profiles. This is silly. And if you're at OnePlus and like OnePlus is ever going to watch our podcast, you have to know that the backlash to any perceived manipulation
Mhm.
is going to be brutal in the techie community. Apple can get away with it. Samsung can get away with it. No one else can. And
It's
especially not OnePlus, because OnePlus has the biggest target on their back right now.
well, yeah. We kind of covered that up also a couple of times, like a few weeks, maybe a month or so ago, once the announcement of LG kind of came to light. It's every
Once
time I'm
LG was no longer the whipping boy. Yeah.
uh,
I,
yeah.
I'm saying, I'm calling it. Like, I know a lot of people say it's going to be Moto or Sony or some of these other companies.
It's a
But
close
it's totally
competition.
okay.
Yeah, it's not a spot anybody wants to be in. It's a weird position to be. I feel like OnePlus over the years have done. I mean, so for all of the things that they've obviously all of the controversy and maybe the conversations that have been going on, the reality is, I mean, they've also done a lot of improvements into just bringing to me and becoming more of a brand that people can are actually able to check out and work with. I mean, like realistically, they are in stores. People can actually compare them to a
Yeah.
Samsung or a Pixel or so on. Where this conversation wasn't even a thing maybe 3 years ago, when OnePlus was a very much an enthusiast, word of mouth type of an experience. Now, I say the word OnePlus and people are like, "Oh yeah, the OnePlus 7 Pro." They know what we're talking about.
Yeah. My
Um,
mom still has a
the
6T.
6T, yeah, no, and my brother, sister-in-law, and my mom are on an 8, 7T, and 7 Pro, and and then we got the 9 Pro here.
I even asked my mom, like, hey, they didn't ask for the 8T back and you have the 6T. Would you want to swap them out? And she went like, no, my phone is still more powerful than your dad's new Pixel. You're like,
Oh, oh
we're
crap.
doing that. Okay.
Okay. The Bagnell house is throwing some shade, some massive shade over there. I'm not gonna come over for
My
Christmas
mom is
anymore.
is absolutely nerdcore. It's so great. And she's
I,
rocking her Tesla with her OnePlus.
I, dude. Um, no, yeah, no, and I love my Tesla. I just have to say that this will be my only token conversation. I really, really like my Tesla. Um,
I'm so glad to hear that though, dude. I mean, be enthusiastic and be happy about it, because like
dude,
you've been due.
seriously, it's a fun experience. I'm enjoying being in the car. Adam is in the chat with us, also hanging out with us. He has the best of both worlds. He has the Supra and the Tesla sitting in the same household. So I want to be on Team Adam myself. It is definitely it's an experience. It's a different type of car, and it is, once you try it, once you drive it, you truly appreciate why people say they like it. Let's just say that. It's one thing to hear people say, "I like my Tesla," but it's another thing to say, "Oh, I understand now. I understand
Yeah.
that when I accelerate, everybody's like 20 miles behind me." I'm not saying I floor it, but it's
Mm-hmm.
fun. Um, come to Texas, dude. You know we would do it in a heartbeat. At some
Now,
point, we do need to.
can the Texas electrical grid support charging a Tesla? Or if you plug in a Tesla in Texas, will just the whole state brown out? Is
It's
that
been
where
it.
we're at now?
I don't. I want to say it's been doing
See, we
well.
have these things in California called regulators. So when we have these kind of rolling brownouts, we just don't shut down the state for multiple days. So
I,
it's kind of the same, but it's a little different.
we just need to get a that new Lightning, the F-150 Lightning, where it powers your house from the car. We'd be able to do it. Just not the AC or
Did you
heat.
feel that?
I know. You and Adam
Just
are
not
gonna.
the AC or heat. So now I'm just punching down. Now I'm just picking on someone. Okay, I'll stop.
Dude, if there is one thing that's been running and keeping me alive for the last however long, is the AC. I don't
So
need the freaking heat.
just
We
to
don't even
wrap up
use the heat in the winter.
just to wrap up the OnePlus,
Yeah, no.
storyline. I think another thing that was just critically disappointing, the whole story broke the day after OnePlus announced that they were going to be improving the window on software support, starting with the OnePlus 8.
Yeah.
Where the lesser expensive phones like the Nord are going to be getting 3 years of security patches,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is absolutely correct. That
Yep.
I'm so fine with an N10 or an N100 not getting 3 versions of Android, but to leave people out in the cold for security patches is kind of a bummer. And now that's
Yeah,
fine.
I'm glad. Yep.
And then from the OnePlus 8 on, getting 3 full versions of Android. And you're like, here, we're actually watching the company make a commitment to a better tier of support on phones that were already sold below the competitive pricing
Mhm.
of comparable Samsungs and Apples. And you're like, that's
Oh yeah.
great. So, of course, they also have to do something and get caught pulling a dumb shenanigan like throttling social media apps.
Well, I mean, but the conversation on the throttle, we've been talking about throttling
Actually,
gaming.
okay. Out of that comment from Tech Odyssey, that's because they throttled the CPU, so you save the battery, so it will last 3 years.
3
Dirty, and I love it.
Dang it, Adam. Okay, I don't know what you're drinking, man, but you better share. Um,
On it, he's on fire. I love it.
DTR wants to segue into a conversation a little bit more about Pixel 6 conversation, which
Sure.
I'll actually jump slightly ahead of that because I saw some more leaks around the Pixel 5a that was also
Yeah, so we're
doing
still
that
hoping
little
to see that in August. Yeah.
well, yeah, but so we finally see it at the FCC, so that at least part of it says it is a device, it is happening. We knew it was happening. It's a little bit later than what it was last year. I think that's primarily what it was.
Mhm.
Um, my question would be: I mean, do you think it would be a benefit for them to have them so close to the Pixel 6 launch? I mean, or would
Yeah.
they want to give them some space? Because I feel like
Honestly, at this point, so ultimately, yes. So the reason why,
Mhm.
Pixel 4a, solid phone. It's
Oh,
really, it's such a good phone,
sold in pre-sales before it was even on shelves. Yeah.
but we are carrying over that transition now where general consumer interest, whether or not they can really benefit from
Hmm.
5G, people are increasingly going to want to buy a phone that supports it. Now the window is, hey, if I hold on to my phone for 2 years, it's likely I'll get some flavor of sub 6 5G. I mean, they're not saying sub 6 in millimeter wave, but
Oh, nobody said. Yeah, they just throw
no
the
one is
main
looking at,
moniker.
yeah,
Yeah.
no one is looking at picking up a cheap LTE phone anymore. So really, all I need them to do,
Yeah.
you keep the 4A 5G pretty much in the same state that it's in right now.
Hmm.
You don't need to do much of anything to that phone, but I need a Pixel 5a that catches up the dual camera sensors, maybe can give us a little bit of a battery bump, although
Hmm.
even that I'd say is lesser concern given the target market for a smaller phone,
Yeah.
but giving us some kind of support for 5G.
And I think this is it's crazy like how 5G's gotten since when we first started. Like seriously, when you and I went and first started talking about Sprint 5G back in the day,
Mhm.
with Sprint implementation in the 400s, and everybody else was still running basically a 5G moniker but LTE speeds for the most part.
Oh yeah.
It is really crazy to see that in my neighborhood, in my neck of the wood, that I don't even live in a very dense metropolitan area, that I'm getting 650 down on
Hmm.
T-Mobile. That was
Yeah.
just like, whoa. I mean, and obviously that was the Xperia 1 Mark III, but I was also able to replicate it on the TCL 20 Pro. Anything that supports 5G, and then I also have the N200 5G that I need to jump
Yeah.
on as well, which is also a 5G, a very budget friendly. And I feel like it's going to be around what the 5A is going to be. They're very much a conversation at the same point. Budget friendly, 5G connectivity, and great experience of Android,
Like,
like almost a pure
I would
experience.
be stoked if you could get a Pixel 5a back up to 399, but
Hmm.
I'll even understand if it's like 449 or somewhere in there. But yeah, I mean, like having that sort of official Google moniker with a 5G label and the smaller form factor version of it finally kind of catching up to the rest of the sort of mid-ranger 5G pack. It the right time to launch that would have been 4 months ago, but the second best time to launch that is whenever you can get it to people. And
Yeah.
so I don't think the timing on that is ever going to be so precious, because that's a completely different conversation. Like if you care about having the longest period of time with a high performance phone, you buy Xiaomi, because then
Hmm.
you can buy the newest chipset in January and you're
Typically.
good.
Yep,
But
first one.
if you're already shopping mid-ranger, your performance concerns are not so time sensitive. And that's
Well,
the
not
same
only
reason,
that.
like, I don't care. Like, if the Sony, the Xperia 1 Mark III is coming out, it's also going to be shipping in August too,
August
right?
19th is
Yeah.
the official ship date in the US. So I
So
don't know if that means
if
people
you
get
care
it on the
about
19th.
Sony features,
Yeah.
you're probably a little less concerned that, oh no, this chipset is already 8 months old. Like, you just, that doesn't matter. You get the newest version of whatever you get from Sony. That's what you care about.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, I think, with the Pixel. They're kind of timeless in that way. A Pixel 3a still feels like a brilliant little Mighty Mouse
Dude,
communicator.
the Pixel 3a XL, I mentioned to you last week.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law is running it now. That's her daily driver now, and she moved up from an Honor 7X. So to her, this was like light years in advancement of tech. Large display. This is why I feel like last year the way they did the 4A with the 4A 5G, they put the 4A 5G as the XL model, and that came out later. And I love the fact that that was still a thing.
Mm-hmm.
This year seems like they're going more towards the direction of the 6 and the 6 Pro being the flagship mid tier. But I feel like
Oh yeah.
the A series XL may have been kind of like just pulled off, and then nobody's going to look at it
Well,
anymore.
but that's kind of why I said I feel like you could do a Pixel 5a and
Mhm.
5a XL, but the 5a XL is just a 4a 5G.
Yeah, but I think
And
that's
there,
the experience that people want.
if you want your 4 phone lineup, you just put a different sticker on the box for the 4a 5G, but
This one
you
is
do catch up.
the 4A 5G. This one is the 5.
Don't peel the label off. That's
Just
it's a
add the
Pixel
A.
5a
And then
XL.
and then some boxes you put the XL next to the A, and the other boxes you don't. No, I get it. I think it's a good lineup, and it gives people the ability of picking which one they would prefer. And the fact that you can actually see them at retail is also a very nice thing. I mean, we've come along a long way from where Pixel was, a smartphone that only sold on Google.com, like Google Store, and otherwise you couldn't find it anywhere else. I love how Pixels are seriously some of the best cameras on the market, regardless of which price point you go for. Performance is very consistent, very accurate. I mean, it's you can depend on it. Let's just say that. And we keep getting new features, which is a crazy thing to say about a smartphone that you make payments on, and then or you're done, and you're getting new features that you didn't even know you
Have
needed.
you rolled the July update for the Pixel 5?
No, I
I've just got it
seriously.
installed. I really haven't even poked into it
I
yet.
saw, yeah, it came out, I think, was it on Tuesday or Wednesday this week? This was the initial data, but I didn't hear a lot of buzz around it, so I didn't get a chance to push that up. But I did receive an interesting update into the Realme GT as I was filming my video. So um I'll say this, just to kind of transition this a little bit. It's been an interesting day. Today has been a very fighting fires type of day for me. And I say that because
Mhm.
it started in the morning with little things going off in there. And then later on, we had a problem with the car. I had to go kind of meet up with my wife to replace the battery because that was dying. So there was a whole bunch of things going on. And that forced me to finish shooting my content for the Realme, which I was hoping to post today, later in the afternoon. And as I was shooting my video, an update came up where and I'll explain a little bit more, but essentially is one of the main features on the update. It said RAM. I forgot what is it called. It was increased RAM or RAM space, or how to. Let me get it here. But essentially, the short answer is it was giving us the ability of using hard drive or internal
Yeah,
storage
as a swap
is
space.
as a swap space for RAM, virtually kind of adding or increasing the amount of RAM you have on your phone. Um, I initially saw that
You just
originally in
download more RAM.
essentially make more RAM. It's like free RAM. I saw it originally on the Reno 6 Pro. I think it was at Frankie Tech over on. Uh, if you were able to find the proper words for. Oh yeah, I'll touch base on that just 1 second, Aditya. So the short answer is, I found it to be very cool that they added this type of feature in here. It doesn't really do that much realistically on an 8 gig device, because I feel like 8 gigs is already more than what you really need. And in Realme UI, and even um, Oppo's Color OS or OnePlus, they all run really well with 6 to 8. But it was funny though the way they did it. they don't let you add even numbers of RAM. I mean, you can add 2, 3, or 5. So you always end up having this odd number. So Frankie posted it because on the Reno 6 he was able to go up to 19 gigs of RAM. It's like 19. It's like
Cool.
yeah, it is a cool number, and I'm able to go all the way up to 13 gigs of RAM on the Realme GT. So that was a little fun. But that was pure accident of me just being pushed and pushed and pushed. So I shot all the A roll. But it was just one of those days. It was one of those days, and it was a nice little surprise to see a software update that brings in new features. Something like this will make people excited about getting a phone that Realme is pushing, or even Xiaomi or anybody. It's just adding new features, bringing in new things, and thinking of the consumers. And to answer Aditya's answer, I was having the hardest time trying to figure out how to say giveaway in Arabic on Sunday morning. So I pinned a couple of my friends, and I even reached out to some of our friends on Twitter. And there is no way to say giveaway because the literal translation is to gift something, right? It's to give, because it is the action of giving away. It's the intended meaning of it that doesn't translate, and it ends up becoming a sentence. It's like I have to basically say it's a competition to win something, or competition.
Okay.
You enter competition to win.
And no, but that makes sense, because I mean we've just sort of abbreviated that through generations of English colloquialisms to
Absolutely.
get to giveaway or sweepstakes. And the word sweepstakes is unintelligible in basically every other language.
No, and like the translation, if I had to translate it back from Arabic to English, it sounds like I'm saying race entrance winning. That's the only way to describe it. So I was able to put out the video, and I
So
posted it.
whoever
And
can run the 100-meter dash the fastest
you win. And
receive.
well, actually, speaking of which, let's say maybe I'll break the news here. It'll be really nice before tomorrow morning's video. So I actually apparently made a mistake, and I will have to say I'm sorry. There was
Okay, folks, this is getting deep.
yeah, no. So I talked to Realme, and there was a little bit of confusion at the beginning, right? So the concern initially was that they were saying that we want to sponsor a giveaway, we want to work with you. So I worked that was part where the power was there. What we weren't clear on was the actual number of devices, and I think I misunderstood based on communication, because there was obviously some translation and so on going on. And I'd stated that it was going to be 5 devices being giveaway, so 5 Realme
That's a
GTs,
lot.
and that is a lot already. And I was I was actually very shocked when they came back to me and said, "TK, you had it wrong." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "We said 10." And I said, "What?"
Oh,
And
well, that would be more.
that would be more. This is my bad way of giving, like, kind of taking us down, giving you a roller coaster emotional thing. I'm not good
I
at these things. I
the
almost got
highs and lows,
the
the
eyes,
agony and
the
ecstasy,
agony, the despair, the why do you do this to me?
and scene.
Insane. So I do want to correct it, and it will be in tomorrow's video. But yes, I was wrong. There was apparently 10 devices to give away, not 5. The communication error that I had there is that initially they communicated saying 5 to 10, but I wasn't able to get an answer fast enough by the time I was making the announcement. So I erred on the side of caution
For
by
sure.
going with the lower number, which was already a big number to start with.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, 5 Realme GTs is just like, seriously. So yeah, hopefully by the end of this week we'll be able to pick the 10 winners, and hopefully be able to confirm their communication. But I'm very glad, very, very grateful for Realme for not only sponsoring, but also this guy's really a surprising phone. I mean, seriously, for
Oh
the
yeah.
price point of what it offers, it has so much of a Find X2 Pro from last year's Essence, with the look and the feel. And a lot of it, of the concept one that we got from OnePlus, that we didn't get. I mean, we got to play with, because every time I hold it, I seriously keep calling it the OnePlus Realme phone. I'm like, it's not a OnePlus. I recorded my intro 4 times because I kept calling it the OnePlus phone.
You nerd.
It just reminds me of the concept one, that phone that could have been made and had that ND filter. Like, seriously, not a word from ND filter that type of tech from them since the concept one.
And what kills me is any company that does it legit on a consumer facing product, people are, well, it's such a gimmick. I mean, like, who would even want to make their photo darker? You know what I mean? Am I right? I bet like, oh yeah, like I'd want to use an ND filter. Who even knows? What average consumer even knows what neutral density
density
filters
filter
are?
is. Who would want to?
I
Who would want to
I
take
have
good
trouble breathing
pictures?
without choking on my tongue.
I love. No, I know, and to me it was such a good. It was a weird year because they started us with that, they teased it with that phone, and then shortly after they announced they're ending their partnership with McLaren, and it was going to, obviously now we see it's moving on to Hasselblad and so on. But to me, I feel like that relationship with McLaren, especially with the 6T, like the one that your mom has, they made the McLaren edition, then they had the McLaren 7T
Oh, my
Pro
mom doesn't
edition.
have a McLaren. She just has straight 6T. But
Yeah,
that
yeah,
gen was really
exactly.
cool.
Yeah, no, the collaboration with the color, with the papaya orange coming all across. So to me, the McLaren partnership was always one of the best. And like I said, the 7T Pro 5G McLaren, the longest name ever on a phone, was yeah, it was definitely a big move in the right direction. So Adam definitely appreciated it as well. I like it as well. And with that being said, let's talk about another phone that was announced this week. I feel like there was another big, and that this is a part that I was very happy, not because obviously well, actually I take it back. I'm happy because the phone exists, or it will be existing at some point. Um, but it is something that you had a big hand in the middle of. So like when I hear Snapdragon sound, when I think of Snapdragon sound, I have a hard time not thinking of Juan Carlos Bagnell being part of that relationship. And a couple of days, was it yesterday or the day? Was it? I think was it yesterday. I think the official announcement was it yesterday or today?
Snapdragon
No.
Insider phone.
Yes. So this is obviously an insider edition. This is like a special edition phone that so I guess it's a Qualcomm, sorry, it's an Asus phone. It's an Asus designed phone. But it is featuring basically all of Qualcomm's best tech. Let's say the best way to describe it. But one of its core experiences that I really was very excited about was the fact that it is the first Snapdragon sound device to market. Because you can technically buy this. It's not just a concept phone or being made. They're seriously trying to provide it to the insiders. It's going to be sold on Asus's through Asus's web through Asus's portals, I guess, maybe wherever Asus devices are sold. And then they had special edition headphones that come with it. The design is also a little bit reminiscent of an ROG phone. I feel like some of the aesthetics when I see the boxy sign on the design in there, but and they have
I can't
dedicated
remember
buds.
what gen, but it reminds me a lot of, I want to say Zenfone 3 or Zenfone 4. But there was a gen of Zenfone that had this kind of like dark blue matte finish. Maybe even had like a variant with like a rubbery back kind of a feel to it. And I really liked the feel of that phone while I was working at Pocket Now. So like I saw the Insider phone and like, oh, that looks very familiar. I think I like what they're doing there. But yeah, it's a proper product showcase for international 5G support. Like basically complete 5G support.
Like the actual announcement when they made it at last year's at the virtual summit that they did, where they said, our 888 can cover everything under the sun when it comes to 5G. And then you obviously later on have different versions of it that supports only certain areas and not areas. Like this was one thing that I really I wished the GT supported 5G in the US. I'm getting LTE, don't get me wrong, I'm getting decent speeds, but I wanted to see that because it's that speed that you kind of want to get. But yeah, true support for 5G across. And if I'm not mistaken, the way they described it is literally on every country, like even ultra wideband. Like millimeter wave, not just sub-6. The true spectrum of what the Qualcomm chipset
which
can
is
handle.
also why this is a $1,500 phone.
So yeah, a lot of people I think jumped on the price, and I feel like it's an insider phone. It's not. I would imagine that Qualcomm is not trying to make this the most, if they're not trying to compete with their own.
TK, how could this even be a Qualcomm enthusiast phone if it only has an 888?
I was
it's not even
say,
using Qualcomm's best processor. TK,
I knew some.
This phone is such a fail.
It was a fail. It was a dead on arrival kind of thing. No, it should have been released with the Snap. I think we really need to keep in mind too. Also, devices development obviously are longer than than processor the releases.
Right.
So the fact that that was
now, because I'm sorry, I'm trying to break down spec sheet here. Gorilla Glass Victus, the new Gen 2 sonic fingerprint sensor, which
On the
is a
back.
larger,
Yeah, but they did it deliberately, right? They used that
yeah,
sensor that was supposed to be, they would
back.
always feature, yeah, the right way. I feel like it's the right place to be, by the way.
Me too.
Yeah.
A 144 hertz Samsung OLED, 512 gigs of storage, 16 gigabytes of RAM.
Yeah,
Um,
they went seriously, like I mean, they wanted to
I
max
was
it
trying to
out.
pull up. Oh, here we go. It's the Sony IMX 686. It's the 64 megapixel image
Mhm.
sensor. And the ultra wide is using the smaller 12 megapixel 363. So I get, it's frustrating. You get to the bottom of an article that's writing up an announcement like this, and it's kind of a coin flip. Like, oh yeah, I mean, this is kind of cool. It's a product showcase. Qualcomm is trying to highlight what their best technologies are,
Yep.
or it's going to be, what a fail. I mean, it's not even good enough. And it's like, if you were going to spend monies, why would you buy something that's not good enough? And it's like we can't even have like something in the middle to just like,
Let the
this
consumer
is,
decide. Make the decision. Yeah,
and
don't.
it's a limited edition. Qualcomm
Absolutely.
is not looking to operate production lines
Yeah,
to
no.
build the same quantity as even like Sony might. This is
And
going to
and
be
and
a super small batch of phones, which means the fewer phones you make, the more expensive it is to make them. And I would
absolutely.
bet that this is also probably sold with very little margin, given the relationship between Qualcomm and Asus for what this phone is supposed to accomplish.
And it's going to include the headphones that they were showcased in the images. I posted a picture there, and that was the biggest part for me. It's so when I first read about it and I was looking at it, I was also kind of like, okay, so no headphone jack? Like, I mean, when I think sound, I always think, but I forgot. Then I kind of had that whole like relapse and deja vu kind of thing. Snapdragon Sound isn't trying to bring the headphone jack; it's trying to optimize the experiences using
Now,
wireless. They're
uh,
trying to.
what I really want to try and play with though is
Mhm.
if Qualcomm Acoustic is gonna bump up the output for a pass-through dongle.
Oh, yes, 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 yeah,
So
exactly. So try to
so
get.
the acoustic tech is actually pretty good. I mean, it's not LG quad DAC, but it's pretty darn close. But again, it's that's the one last thing. Like, if their main product showcase is, we want you to see how good the new aptX adaptive
Mhm.
is, then that might be the primary focus. But if they're really leaning on the entire like ecosystem of Snapdragon sound, and also they have to have a DAC that's going to drive the speakers in there, you might as well keep a couple pinouts on your
Oh, yeah,
USB
yeah, I
connector
think I
for a
said something. Yeah,
pass-through
it
dongle.
it is stereo speakers as well.
Hmm.
Although and I'm not trying to nitpick, I always love the way Sony does their speakers. They're both front facing, like throw it straight, the best way to experience it. But I think it's side firing and front facing, so it's typical to what we see. It's more like the way we have it here, also
Oh
on
yeah.
the Realme.
But again, with all of that, if they can still support a pass-through dongle and they're really
And it's not
keeping
proprietary.
all of their own tech, acoustic should drive a pretty decent cabled headphone output too.
Yeah, no, but that I was hoping to see more conversation around that, but it felt like the entire the it was tailored mostly around the headphones, and they wanted to go with the adaptive aptX. So I totally agree that this is something to showcase, because when I heard about when you were working on with Qualcomm on this, when you posted your interview with the I forgot her name, Doctor. It was the lady that you had a conversation with. I think you posted part of that
Yeah,
conversation with it.
she was one of the
The,
product
yeah, no, no.
product
So
team, and now I can't remember her name, and that's
sorry,
really
I'm
gonna
bad.
bug me.
I'm bad with names to start with, so I plead the fifth on that one. But when I saw that, the biggest thing I was wondering is, when do we see something like that come to fruition, right? Because all we're hearing more devices, Samsung Folds, blah blah blah, insert the device here, but no mention of Snapdragon Sound. So that's why I was excited. I got excited primarily because I knew obviously Qualcomm wouldn't be putting out a phone with a SUS that didn't sound that wouldn't perform the best, because they want to showcase the 888.
Yeah,
But the Snapdragon sound, the 16 gigs, the wideband support everywhere. This is truly an international phone that as you said, is very small number batch, and it is a batch that's going to be sold, but it also is for enthusiasts as well as insiders. So it's really designed for really somebody that's very much passionate about Qualcomm, and I feel like that's the main message here. So we'll have to see how people once the devices are. I don't think people have them yet, so we'll have to see when they start
No.
selling them and how sales
And
kind of
I
go.
honestly wouldn't be surprised if this were a thing. Like, if you're a part of Snapdragon Insiders, you get like early access to putting in a pre-order or something
Probably
like that.
yeah, I would imagine, yeah, but again, still exciting to see that type of tech, and it is going to come to fruition, and it more than likely going to be the beginning of something, not necessarily the only one. You know, we want to see basically how other OEMs implement Snapdragon sound, because
Oh
everybody's
yeah.
pushing to wireless. Everybody wants you to be on a wireless pair of headphones, anyways.
And but to this point, I think, and it's only on.
Oh,
I want to
Dr.
say it.
Allison Grimm's, yeah.
Oh, no. Allison Grimes was the audiologist. The Snapdragon. What was her name? Sarah. Sarah McMurray was the woman I interviewed from Qualcomm.
Yep.
Dr. Grimes is one of the chief audiologists at UCLA. Okay,
Hey,
I
welcome
can
back to
remember
the show.
people again.
Yay,
All
you're
right,
good.
show's over, guys.
Thank
It
you.
doesn't get any better than that, and I almost fell out of my
Peace.
chair. Hold on.
Juan's remembering who he is, and the chair is not holding him anymore.
It's like Memento, but in reverse, but not.
Not really.
So I believe so far the only other partner that's done anything with Snapdragon sound is Xiaomi, and
Oh,
I can't even tell you what phones are currently supporting it. I think it might just be the Ultra.
right.
I can't remember if anything else is
It's not
done.
just that though.
So
I think the as far as adaptive aptX, is there actual the headsets that support it?
Audio Technica
Okay.
makes one. But
So
besides the earbuds that are going to come with this Asus,
yeah, I was gonna say I didn't
I
catch a
don't know
name,
if
and
anything
I'm trying to
else
find
is.
if did they name it, or is it just gonna be the Qualcomm Asus phone?
Yeah, well, I mean,
That,
I'm calling it the Qualcomm. I'm sorry, I'm calling it the Snapdragon Insider phone. But the earbuds that come with that, and then I do believe there is a headset
it's
from Audio Technica that has that
Snapdragon
new
Insider. The
Snapdragon
SIF.
sound label.
We can dub it the SIF.
Lady Sif.
Lady SIF.
Okay, that works for me.
That's like, why not? Let's bring Star Wars
But
into
it
it.
is interesting, and again, you know, obviously we spent a good chunk of this podcast sharing some of our concerns about performance from this year's phones,
Yeah.
and Qualcomm certainly shares a big part of that pie chart
I,
of
I
the
it,
concern.
it's a something. It's the reason why most OEMs are in a reactive mode on this,
But
because
that's why I want to see if Qualcomm can do a yearly product showcase. How do they contract out to Asus to build a phone around their own SoC? Because they're not going to want to put out a phone that has throttling shenanigans or obnoxious mechanics that get in the
there
way
was
of the consumer
there was
experience.
no mention
But
on that part. Yeah.
but genuinely, let's say they deliver a phone where performance never throttles and they keep those thermals in check and the GPU is cranking and the CPU is cooking, and was it really the only way to do that was to make a phone that
Oh, and
at
it features
margin.
Quick Charge 5. I forgot about that part. I think that was the other
But
thing that
again,
was in there. Yeah.
is are we going to get to their Snapdragon Insider phone likely sold at almost no profit, probably
Mhm.
near margin considering the smaller number of phones sold, was the only way to tame an 888 to make a phone that at break even point costs $1,500 for consumers? Is that going to be the discovery that we make here, that whatever advanced engineering, thermal issues, copper heat pipes, graphene, whatever it is that you need to do to get heat out of this phone and keep the chipset running in sort of a healthy window, was that not possible on a $600 phone?
Yeah. It seems like, well, we'll have to see once people start getting them and testing them out. The Insider, I mean, so for me, I'm I mean, like I said, I'm excited for the phone. It's just like you said, it's the price wise, it's a little bit. Um, you'd have to basically really want to be part of the insider program to be able to get something like that and
Yeah.
truly enjoy it. And I think that's probably what it is. But we'll have to
Well,
see
and
if they did
Qualcomm
provide.
has an opportunity to also say, we make the chipset and we decide how long manufacturers get to support their phones.
But
And
they
we
do.
get to decide for ourselves that one of the things that you're getting when you buy this is that kind of intimate support from the company that makes the SoC on all of these devices. And if they can come in and say, you know, what we bring is a product expertise that can deliver an optimization like no one else,
Hmm.
that's worth $1,500 to the enthusiast space. It's just, we got to see what they really do with it. We got to
Yeah,
see if they really deliver something unique, or if this is just a, you know, sort of a label badge on an Asus ODM product that, you know, it can be a product showcase, but it doesn't do, or it's not supported better, or it's not unique. That's the opportunity here. So I don't
yeah.
think Qualcomm would be going into this lightly, but we need to see what is it that they're actually trying to accomplish with it.
I like I said, very excited, and I cannot wait to see actual like some videos on it or some content just to talk about it. And so, like I said, just it was exciting announcement to see, and was happy that that is something that is coming. With like I said, it's a tailored experience, and this gives us an ability of seeing what Qualcomm, if Qualcomm wanted to put a phone together to influence the design of a phone, this would have been this is the phone, this is it. I was going to say, this is
Yeah,
the phone.
this
Everybody else has been reactive to certain things, but they've customized the experience. This is the, for the lack of a better word, the best that Qualcomm has to offer in 2020, with the
mhm.
exception of the 888 Plus. I'm sure a lot of people are like, well, why is it not with the 888 Plus? It was just announced a week and a half ago. More than
You know,
likely,
this
this
is
phone's
the
been designed.
perfect year, even for Qualcomm, to not like, let's not delay.
Let's just
The
announce it.
A88 Plus is not that different.
It's an overclocked version of an 888. I'm
Not
my
even.
it's
Remember, it's not even heavily overclocked. It's
no,
AI boosted.
it is. It's
Your
the
TOPS performance is better.
the it year over year, the difference between the standard and the plus model is I'm not going to say abysmal, but it's minuscule considering the fact of the improvements, from 1 year to the other, from 2 years to next. So the
Yeah,
reality is, the 865 and the 865 plus are both great processors. You're not really getting that much more with the 865
it's just
plus.
binning. It's
Yeah,
is that
it
they've
absolutely.
now refined their manufacturing. You can bin the better processors that can sustain a higher maximum clock rate, and
Yep.
you're not even really doing that on the 888. It's more AI performance and this other new metric that we talk about for TOPS performance.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's definitely. Yeah, but again, it's more of a headline conversation. So those are things that, again, I was very much excited. The last thing I want to mention, at least on my side, is based on a conversation that you and I had last week, where I was talking about converting over to DaVinci Resolve. So that's something
Yeah,
I I've been a little bit hesitant, but then with a little bit of your help and a little bit of testing with Premiere and DaVinci, where DaVinci just floors, just basically
it's
demolishes
not even
Premiere.
close.
Not even so much.
No.
My God, it's not even close. It's like, actually, it's pretty much like me being in a Tesla and hitting my acceleration, and then going across, and then somebody else in a Prius sitting next to me, and they're trying to accelerate. It,
Wow.
I'm not trying to make it like, I'm not trying to make it sound like Adobe is a Prius, but um,
Yeah,
like,
it's not that efficient.
it isn't, and by the time it's efficient,
Ah,
I'm like, I would have had to been in a miserable relationship for a long time. So what I'm trying to say essentially is, so this is obviously not it, but this is the box that I got my DaVinci Speed Editor,
yeah, there it is.
and believe it or not, this is free with the license. They give
I'm
this to
so
me.
jealous back when I got my, because I paid for my license just as 16 launched and they weren't running that promo. And like, I really want that little control surface. Looks cool.
So I finally got my own license of DaVinci Resolve. Very, very happy. I did. I installed it, obviously, set it up, and it's up and running. And like I said, to me, it's truly about time savings. It's like, I have a video that I need to publish tomorrow morning. I don't want to have a wait, however long it takes, that 1-to-1 or maybe 2-to-1, where it ends up taking double the time just to render a video because Premiere wants to throttle the performance, or even just Xnay, just run it at 20% where it could so much more. And it's not a heat issue because I fixed my heat issue with the PC. I have enough fans in
Well,
there.
I mean, TK, I mean, what do you expect from Adobe? It's not like you're paying them hundreds of dollars every year to keep up
No.
to date with current hardware trends and to refine their software for new.
I wish I was on a subscription base that made me pay 350, 360 bucks a year. That would have
Well,
fixed my
I mean,
problem.
because it's just so weird because you buy DaVinci once and then you just sort of have it forever.
Adobe is a
It's
Volt,
strange.
not a Prius. Adam is like, yeah, Adam, but I mean, seriously, when you put it next to a Tesla
Oh, poor
or
Bolt.
I know it's Chevy Volt. Oh my God, I know no, we're not bagging on Chevy, but it truly is a um it was a point of frustration for me when I plugged in the 3080 Ti, and I was like, this is not what I'm expecting. This is so much worse than the 2080 that I was like, I'm doing something wrong. It's not cool enough. I had to give it. I was like, seriously. And then you like, TK, just try DaVinci, and I ran it once, and I was like, oh. So yeah, I will be practicing the heck out of learning how to use DaVinci with my keyboard shortcut, and even the speed editor that I have there. It's intended to
Mhm.
be more of a cut tool than it is a edit tool, but
Yeah,
you can still use it in
still.
the edit page. And I think anything that can simplify the running through the timeline, editing clips, putting them, merging, the non-destructive edit. I just need to
So
learn all the
quick.
shortcuts as well. So very
Yeah.
happy.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Again, it's never fun making the transition, but genuinely, like I was doing something else again on Resolve. What was it? Oh yeah, just like some of how easy it was to sort of crop and keyframe. And
Hmm.
so I did something where I was actually showcasing, like part of it was for my Odyssey video.
Oh,
And then
okay. The one
I
you
make
dropped it.
this joke about how and then I started making this face when I listened to Apple Spatial Audio, and I was able to just circle punch out my face and overlay it, but that effect in Premiere, or especially that effect in Vegas back when I was
Mhm.
still using Vegas, that would have been an obnoxious 3-layer transparency, get a mask, get this filter, blend it here, copy it so that you've got two instances of the same video file, right? I mean, it would have been such a pain in the ass. And it
And
took
then
me 30 seconds in Resolve to go highlight this, get rid of everything else. And then I just, you just literally I'm just dragging my mouse cursor to slide things around. And the keyframe goes, oh, so I guess you need it here. And then I'm like, yeah, Resolve, that's exactly where I need it, because that's where I pointed my mouse cursor. And it's just beautiful. It
I
just
got
so easy. I love it.
I will be definitely tapping into that knowledge base right there, as I slowly but surely learn all the different. I've gotten comfortable with the placements of the bins, the edits, like that where I normally have everything on the top left in Premiere. Now I realize, clip edits on the top right, audio edits on the top right, but then your transitions on the bottom left, and then
Mhm.
your library. And surprisingly, bringing in my projects over to test out was actually a pretty simple process. It's serious and easy XML export, import into DaVinci, and then I can see how the different transitions and
Yeah.
like I said, it's the timeline. It's not totally foreign, but it's the keystroke. It's the cut
Yeah.
blade versus the blade. The what's it called? The blade tool as opposed to the
Mhm.
cut tool, and it's a B to C thing. And then there's the A as opposed to the S, as opposed to the select tool. There's the all the so. Anyways, I'm getting there. We'll definitely be speeding up my performance, and I can finally start putting out the content that I wanted to put out on the new build that I've been working on. Because
Mhm.
Nvidia reached out that they wanted to kind of showcase the performance improvements with the 3080 Ti, and it's going to be basically heavily directed at DaVinci at this conversation. And I'll have to talk to the fact that Adobe's just not there yet. It's fast, but it's not better than the 2080 because of optimizations. And I truly believe it's an optimization. And
Oh yeah.
I just haven't been able to
When you
circumvent
started describing how it would just sort of tank and only use 20% of the available resources on the card, you're like,
consistently on
that
every
to me
video.
speaks of some trigger happening in Premiere to say system instability, and it's not expecting it. and so it's just cratering to stay in a safe window.
It does.
Well,
Yeah.
if you're paying Adobe that much money, I would expect that they would be just a bit more aggressive on keeping up with the new GPUs that are going to be driving their software. So again,
Absolutely.
DaVinci has been incredible for that. Like, especially when I jumped from the 1080 Ti to the 2080,
Oh
like
man.
nothing used my 2080 like Resolve did. And it took so long for Adobe to catch up. And by that time I had just like completely written off Vegas and Premiere.
I mean, even
Switching
an
over.
8K recording, even an 8K video render to me was like crazy. It rendered a 26-minute video in 17. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
8K, not 4K, 8K. So yeah, like I said, very happy. I need to plug this in, set it up. I got it late this afternoon. I didn't get a chance to open it. All I was able to do was just plug in the license into DaVinci, just so I can get everything running right. So because I didn't want to keep using the free license, so that was primarily what it is. But yeah, that was kind of like a little bit of a wrap up of how my week has been. It's been interesting.
That's a good week.
A lot of ups and downs, emotional, me making mistakes and saying the wrong number of phones were given away, a lot of things. I like it's a good note. I think it'll be good. So it'll be in the information tomorrow, and I'll post another social post on that just to let people know. And but yeah, it ends at the end of Sunday, so we have a couple more days to go, and there's been a lot of good response on that. I'm very happy. A lot of people are enthusiastic, and I posted on both English and Arabic, so I wanted to give the Arabic folks as well an opportunity, because Realme is very much well known across the world. I mean, they're very much an international brand, so very nice.
Oh, for sure. And you
So
got 10 of them.
I wish I had. So at one point they were originally asking if they wanted to send me the phones to give away, and I was just like, I don't want to deal with that logistical. To me, it was like, you have the infrastructure, you have the system to support this type of thing. I will provide I'll spread the word. Let's just say that I'll spread the word. Thank you for letting me play with it. I love the fact that they also sent me the matching color wires for the Realme GT, so you get not only the black and yellow on the wire, but also the phone. So yeah, just it seriously feels like a baby Find X2 Pro with the power of a Find X3 Pro, because it's the 888 with 8 gigs of RAM and so on. And this isn't even the best model. There's a better model out there for I think it was at 12 gigs of RAM.
Don't say that. The best model is going to be the model you get for free.
Exactly.
That is TK's contest.
Absolutely, my friend.
That's what I'm saying.
The links will be in the description below, and yeah, I'll definitely be talking about it more also on Saturday. Yeah, it's been a crazy week, but TK adventures between Arabic, tech, YouTube, and English. It's been a very interesting conversation, really. And then I really like the fact that I'm able to engage with both communities, and it's something that I should have been doing for a longer time. I don't know why I skipped it. For the longest time, only did English, and then light came up. A couple of YouTubers and Arabic channels is like, TK, you're crazy for not doing it. And it was around the Pixel 3a, by the way. It was around the launch of the Pixel 3a at I/O. I had a conversation, and then literally the day after, I started an Arabic channel. That's how it is. So did you do well with color profile? Yes, color grading is actually, so here's a question to work with Steve DeRoche. I think DaVinci initially was a color grading tool. I think that's how it initially started from.
It's still, I mean, like one of its biggest reputations.
And not only that, there are many, even YouTubers that typically will use Adobe Photoshop Premiere for content creation, that jump into DaVinci to finish off their color grading before they produce. So it's like, there's some people that use both, but it is so much easier, and their advancement, the way to do it is so much more intuitive. I mean, it has like the 4 different graphs with the different the curves. You're able to tune every single aspect of it. I did a little bit with some of my
the white
Sony.
balance dropper tool works so well. You can, like, even for me, where it's like, because I get some kind of like mixed lighting and shadows, especially like if I'm shooting later in the afternoon and it's really hot in here. And just like, I'm just going to tweak the gamma, just do a little bit of a lift and gain, kind of bump up the shadows. Yeah, it's all balanced.
Yep,
and that would have taken me so long to do that kind of lighting correction.
And you can apply it to multiple clips as well. So
I love the mouse button click for that too. So the center button, you just like, well, I want that clip to match this click. I want that clip to match this clip. So I just click. And then you're done. And it just
Intuitive.
copied all that stuff over. And you're like, oh, it's
Intuitively,
so
exactly.
fast.
Logic, I mean, when you're using a tool that's intended to be used by professionals, it has to be that advanced,
And
realistically.
that it's super modular. So each of the
Yeah.
components and each of the windows and panels, you make it the editing environment that you want it to be, and then baked into that. And then even still, I mean, like, as much as I still do quite a bit of my audio editing in old Sony software, the audio processing tools, the noise reduction plugin, the audio syncing tools, like, they're all really good. So it started out as like this color grading plugin that now is a top to bottom,
all in one,
beautifully well featured editing suite.
Yeah, no, I'm like I said, for me, this is like baby steps, but it's exciting, and I get to test it out as well. Like I said, alongside Premiere, because I'm not losing Premiere yet. I still have my, I think it was like another 6 months or so on my license, so it's not something that I wanted. I have enough time to do that transition. Yeah,
You're not going to use it that much. You know what I should ask? You should ask them is like, hey, can we prorate out what the end of my year would have been?
And pay me back, and that would be DaVinci.
Oh no, what I was going to say is like, you go to them and say like, hey, I paid for a year, but all I really need now is like After Effects. So can I just have After Effects for 2 years?
Oh yeah,
with what I've already paid you.
That's literally all I need left. Yeah, exactly. It's the one thing that I haven't been able to replicate otherwise, because it's a custom intro every single time that I render every time. This is the only limitation that I have right now, unless I can figure out a way to overlay it somehow by creating the blank state. You know what I'm saying? Like, the video portion of it is in there, and then I overlay the text in some sort of overlay text aspect inside of the editor. That's one part I still haven't gotten a good handle on: overlays and transition text. The ones I use on Adobe where I purchased those, so those are custom ones, and I need to try to figure out a way to recreate those. Minor things. I don't want to bore you guys with the.
I absolutely appreciate that. That's also one of the reasons why I changed over some Gadget Guide to just the pop. Like, I'm not doing any intros. It's just the text, some Gadget Guy, and that's it
in stereo.
Yeah,
that's how.
The very first time I did it, I forgot to add the left channel track, so it wasn't in stereo.
It was in stereo. It was in.
I was like, oh, why did that only get my right here? But I'm hitting that time, and I think my voice is about to properly die. But I'm glad to hear DaVinci's working out, because I thought it would. I thought it would tap your GPU a little better.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. It's making it so that the upgrade that I did was worth it for the monies, because otherwise I was throwing money for no reason. But with that being said, I do want to say thank you for everybody for hanging out with us. Thanks for Adam, obviously staying with us a little bit later as well. Greg, I know My Tech Reviews as well. Rolando's in the chat. We had Ranesh. I think I saw him earlier. Greg, sorry, Greg again. And I think we had some cool guy on the screen with us. El Jefe was in there as well. Oh man, everybody else hanging out with us as well. Oliver was in there as well, I think. And I'm trying to remember who else was it. Sam. Steve DeRoche, DT, of course, everybody just hanging out. Vince, if I've missed your name, I do apologize. But thank you very much. This is some Gadget Guy giving us some little bit of a side eye, but I don't know how do we want to take it.
I have peripheral vision with my cool headset on.
Ça me fait plaisir. Tout le monde. Merci beaucoup, mon ami. Steve DeRoche is always really hanging out with us. I appreciate it. It is late everywhere, but I hope you guys have a good rest of the week. Obviously, the week is not over. We still have Saturday Morning with Tech. We'll talk a little bit more.
We will.
I'm going to be pushing out the video on the Realme stuff on the Arabic and English channel tomorrow, the TK Essentials edition, and we'll see. And Juan Carlos is Juan Carlos is going to be he's going to be in. If you can't find Juan Carlos, it's because he's watching Godzilla again and again and again.
Shin Godzilla is
it's exactly how it's going to be. We're not going to be able to get access to the guy.
It's my favorite now.
But you guys have a good night. Thank you very much, Juan, for spending some time with us, even though we are taxing your voice. Looking forward to some more content for both of us. Anything exciting you wanted to plug in at the right quick?
Yeah. In addition to ridiculous headsets, I'm going to be doing some fun showdowns with audio DACs. So,
Nice.
THX kind enough to send me out their Onyx. So just like
Oh,
a really sleek dongle, Saber
ah,
DAC,
dude,
ESS DAC in this little bad boy. So I'm excited about that. And then
reminds me of the Razer
immediately
one.
after, Apogee sent me their Groove, which is also
Another mini.
ESS, and they actually do the quad staged DAC. So this
Nice.
right here for playback, I
Hmm.
don't believe it supports mic input, but for playback, genuinely might be as close to an LG
On
quad DAC as we can get, and the amp on this is pretty great. So I'm going to put that up against my Fios, my BTR,
mhm.
my BTR 5,
Oh,
and
BTR
then
5,
my
yeah, the big one.
Q3 is over on the little desk over on the side. So I'm
Yep.
going to do a little round robin of premium audio goodness, because I mean, every one of these companies is now trying to get these back out there because Apple lossless is a
Yep.
thing, and you can't do Apple lossless without some kind of adapter. But
Yep.
this THX Onyx has USB-C on it,
Which means it's
right?
not. Yep. It's intended more like an iPad, if anything.
So for iPad, but I'm going to take these off here. This is getting kind of silly. But it's if you get the adapter and then you put the camera connector and you do a dongle and an adapter, then you can get it to plug into an iPhone. Android is where it's at if you care
Mhm.
about high quality audio. This plugs directly into a phone. The lights change from blue to yellow when you switch over to higher quality audio streams. Like if you
Mhm.
start playing a FLAC file, it'll detect the bit rate,
Yeah.
and you're off and running. Sounds so good.
I'm excited to see that.
It like I'm plugging in planar magnetics and my DT 770s and really thirsty studio grade cans. It sounds so good. So I'm really excited just to kind of compare some of these. The Groove is similarly like baller amp. The Fios have been rocking my socks. Like
Mhm.
if you want to treat your ears, it's not that hard. It's pretty good stuff.
No, you just have to look around, and you'll find good hardware to help you augment the experiences. But
Yeah,
it
so
is.
get Apple Music lossless and listen to it on an Android,
I was gonna
because
say
it
that's
it,
the way
it
to do it.
doesn't work on an iPhone.
It is. It's funny. You think about it. They released it and they're like, "Hey, congrats. We have something really nice for you to be able to enjoy on somebody else's phone because you can't do it on ours." It's going to have to be something. I mean, I'm sure at some point there's going to be some additional hardware. At some point, the market will have to catch up and provide more hardware for them. But the reality is, you're right. The existing hardware support, and we've been able to enjoy FLAC files and high lossless audio on Android for some time. It's not something that new, but it's Apple's invention that made it obviously, to the world, which means we have to wait for
Right.
Apple to fix it.
Oh, Apple invents so many amazing things that they
Absolutely. And
can't even use on their own phones.
that's how much they invented it. They invented it ahead of themselves. It was that much how it is. They were so much advanced. They missed
Wasn't
their
that the
current
tagline for like iPhone 7? It was the most forward thinkingest
thinking.
iPhone
iPhone
that they'd ever made.
and iOS 15 and lossless audio is the most advanced to the. It's in the next
Yeah.
generation. We'll get it next time conversation.
I
Um,
say like I'm good with my Odyssey. I'll be all right.
no, I like the Fio. The Fios are really really nice. I
Yeah,
mean,
so the
seriously,
Q3
yeah.
is what I did all of my comparison testing on to listen to spatial audio, Apple spatial audio, and then Waves NX.
Mhm.
So that was baller. So I'm really stoked. Like I want to put
Because that's
like
what I
the
use my PC
BTR.
as the for wired headsets. I use it through the Q3.
So the BTR, the amp, I don't think is gonna compete as well as the Groove, the
Mhm.
Apogee. The Apogee amp is pretty solid. But again, that's such a killer showdown when we're talking about like $100 to $200, and then you're kind of good for audio.
Mhm.
Like no matter what phone you go with, go get a Nord N100. Like you're good. You're good for really good audio, like high premium
But
audio.
no, but that's a serious conversation to be had, though. Realistically, when you start looking at different versions of Android, a different version of how OEMs do their system, yeah, we do have headphone jacks on mid rangers and low and budget devices. But the reality is, they're not focusing on the audio experience as
No,
much.
it's a
They're
convenience
using
port, not an
it is
audio.
absolutely it's convenience. Yeah. So the ability of using that the power of the USB-C, the fact that now we are finally at a point in time where there is no more micro USB devices being released, that is an absolute win. Yeah, you're right. And an N100 can totally become your high-end performance audio listening device, because you are able to augment that hardware with the
Yeah.
external devices. So we'll have to see, obviously, what your final thoughts and the verdict on which one is the best for the money. But I think at the end of the day, I'm excited. Like that first one that you were showing us, the THX one,
Oh, the
so
Onyx
reminded
is
me
so
of the Razer adapt. Remember the Razer DAC that we
it's
got?
so it's this piece is longer, but you're right. It is right in line with.
Yeah, it that the quality, the cable, so on. So that was one of my favorite things that I always carried with me, was the DAC that we got, the USB-C DAC from the Razer phone, because that to me was, it was a like an adapter that you always wanted to buy. So it was like very, very nice. So yeah. But with that being said, I do want to say thank you again very much. Hope you guys have a great rest of the week. We'll definitely be on the socials. Catch, Juan Carlos, some gadget guy on Twitter and Instagram, and Juan Bagnell on YouTube. Yours truly is TK Bay or TKDSL across the socials. We'll see you next week on another episode of the best of our week. Hopefully, even more exciting than this week. But we can always try to. It always is. It never seems to fail. So take care. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bam.